Hi everyone, this is Dave from Geekanoids and welcome to my comparison between the Google Nexus 9 and the iPad Air 2. This is a viewer requested video, so I'm going to take a quick look at some of the features on these two devices. And I know that the first question that I'm going to get asked is the comparative performance between these two devices. So I've run Geekbench 3 on both of them. You saw them just complete, and on the left here we have got the Nexus 9 and we have got a single core score of 1872 and a multi-core score of 3188, and that's in comparison to the iPad Air 2, which has got a single core score of 1810 and a multi-core score which has blown the Nexus 9 away of 4475. But these numbers don't really mean much, because when you're using a device, it's how the device actually feels. Is it snappy? Is it responsive? And during my limited time with both of these, both of them feel very, very responsive indeed. You won't have any issues at all with regards to performance on either the Nexus 9 or indeed the iPad Air 2. Now I've got the brightness set to almost maximum on both of these, and I want to just show you a photo. Same photo taken on an Olympus Pen EPL3, so a nice camera, and this is the photo, and I'm going to get this up on this device as well. And let's have a look at both of them. Now I'm going to angle the devices up so you can see them side by side, but basically both of these look absolutely fantastic. The detail actually on the Nexus 9 I think is a little bit better. We've got a little bit more contrast, and on the iPad Air 2, although the detail is there, we are losing some of the detail in the darker areas. So I think that the Nexus 9 is doing a better job at displaying this photo. So very surprised there, because when we're not looking at photos and we're just looking at the user interface, the Nexus 9 and the iPad Air 2 look pretty much the same. So it's only when you're looking at finer details that you're going to notice this difference. Now, with regards to the physical size of the devices, we can see that the iPad Air 2 is in fact quite a bit bigger in height and in width than the Nexus 9. The actual thickness of the devices, well, the iPad Air 2 wins this one on thickness, but there's not a lot in it. You know, they're very, very similar in size, apart from obviously being able to hold them one-handed, which you wouldn't do with either of these. You know, neither of these are one-handed devices. But the weight does come into play here as well. If you're holding this for a prolonged period of time, this is a lot heavier, you know, and the iPad Air 2 is very, very light, very light. But I mentioned actually in my review of the iPad Air 2, which you may or may not have seen yet, that the thinness of this might not necessarily be a positive point. It makes it very difficult to hold, very, very slippery, whereas the Nexus 9 is actually a little bit heavier obviously, but a lot easier to grip onto, and I think this feels a lot nicer in the hand. So although we've got a thinner and lighter device here, this still feels a lot more comfortable to actually hold. Now, the other thing you have to take into consideration when choosing a device is obviously the operating system. And I've talked about this a lot. I live within an Apple ecosystem. I run a MacBook Pro, also a Mac Pro, an iPhone 6, and of course the iPad Air 2. But iOS 8 in its current format leaves a lot to be desired. There's rotation issues, notification issues, handoff issues as well, things I'm really not very happy about. Now I must make a disclaimer here, Android 5.0 Lollipop on the Nexus 9, I haven't used it for very long at all, but in my limited time of using it, it seems to be very fluid, very smooth, very nicely designed, and everything seems to work as expected so far, but it is very early days. Now I just want to move on to something that people do use their tablets for. I don't personally, and that is the camera on the back. Now these have both got 8 megapixel cameras on the back of these devices, and I've taken one photo with each. That is my experience with these so far, but I must say that the Nexus 9 does a decent job. It's a greatly improved camera, a good camera for a tablet. The iPad Air 2 does take better photos without a doubt, much better indeed. Now, whether that's down to the optics, the software, or a combination of the two, well, I think that the Apple have done it right with the camera. I've always said that about the iPhone, always been the superior smartphone camera, and it still is true between these two devices. Now, why we've got these on the reverse side, I want to talk a little bit about materials used. Now, this is a plastic back with a soft touch on the Nexus 9. Feels very, very nice. It's described as white on their website. It is not a bright white colour. It is almost grey, a very muted colour. And it's plastic, although it is very, very solid, very well made. The iPad Air 2 is all metal. Very, very gorgeous looking, lovely design, lovely curves to it. And it's just a matter of personal preference, whether you prefer a plastic back, still as solid as each other, or whether you prefer this all metal design. These mark very easily. This was only just arrived in the studio, so I don't know how this is going to hold up over time. Now, let's talk a little bit about speakers. Now, the speaker on the iPad Air 2, not brilliant. Apple could do better. I've tried the speakers on the Nexus 9 and they are positioned top and bottom, or if you're holding it in landscape, left and right, and they work extremely well. This is HTC's sort of signature to their devices. Awesome sounding speakers, and the Nexus 9 absolutely blows the iPad Air 2 out of the water with regards to audio playback. So I've shown you some comparisons. I can't show you any more at this stage because, as I say, it's very, very early days with the Nexus 9, but I hope that gives you some sort of idea between the two devices and helps you make a purchasing decision. They are both great tablet devices. If you love Android, then the Nexus 9 is going to more than satisfy you. If you like iOS, then the iPad Air 2 is the one to go for. So thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do leave me some comments in the comment section below and let me know which is your favourite tablet, the Nexus 9 or the iPad Air 2. I'll see you all in the next one.